This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Back in 2007, a game came out from Days of Wonder all about putting on shows, going in the arena, and doing that inside the Colosseum. Well, fast forward to 2017, and a new version is out from Tasty Minstrel Games, Colosseum. So we're going to take a look. Today I am going to do a comparison between the old version and the new version. I'm going to show you all of them back to back, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts on the other side. Here's the difference between the boxes. We have the older Ticket to Ride size box and a smaller box and the different artwork styles. Up top we have the newer board. It's a little bit smaller and then have the different artwork of course. And then here is the older board which is larger, it's wider, but the colors don't contrast as much I'd say as the newer ones. I actually like the newer look better. And here's another look with the older board. Here's about the halfway mark, and here's about the halfway mark on this newer board. Again, you can see the difference in the layout and such. Now here's the difference of the player aids. These ones are actually bigger, they're more colorful, and they actually do a much better job of telling you what the different modifications do to the end scoring there. They're the same information's here, but it's just a lot more easy to see quickly there. But I must say, I actually like the way this is laid out better than the new version, because when you have a lot of a certain item, you can quickly look at that item, look at the columns, and see which show could I easily, what's the best one I should be going for if I have the most of a certain thing. Where here, there's no real easy way to do that. It takes a little bit longer to figure it out. So I definitely like this layout better. Also, the biggest thing, which is one of the big complaints I had with this version of the game, this one actually tells you how many of each of these there are in the game. That's huge when you're trading. You got to know which ones are more scarce than others. Where here it has no information about that, and so we constantly were going back to the rule book and looking it up. So I really wish they would have put down here a little legend of how many of each of these there were. Now, one of the two only playing differences of the game is there's two new shows. The two highest rated shows that are the hardest ones to do are now here. And so that's in the new version, but not in the old version. Here's the difference between the old version of the show tiles and the new ones, small, medium, large, small, medium, and large. I don't dislike either one of these more than the other. It is nice to have the actual count on here as opposed to having to count all these for a big one here. But they're pretty much about the same for me here. Here's the different famous tokens. Old version top, newer version bottom. Other than the artwork, obviously the older ones were bigger, which I guess I would like. It's always good to have nice bigger components to look at, but the smallness of this didn't bother me during the play, but that's the difference between those. Here is the Emperor's Medal. This is the older one. I like this one a lot better. It's very easy to read. We're 3 points, 1 to 3, $6, where you can still kind of figure it out if you look at this, but it's definitely smaller and harder to read. On the money, there's really no contest. The money was part of, I think, the best component in the new version. I would want to use these in all the other games versus the pretty standard but not bad components above. Now here's the different pawns for the nobles. On the left we have the smallest ones, and then we have the senators, and then we have the emperor. Now one thing I always loved were these different tokens here with the little scarf on there, the thing on the head. Those were so nice. I really wish they would have kept those in the new version. Now the new version did have optional stickers that you could have put on to make them look a little bit more real, and they'd probably look better on the Silkscreen, but I wanted to show you both options here. Here's the difference of the arenas, old and new, and obviously the board was bigger, so these were going to be bigger as well. One thing I did like about this is that these had how much it costs. It's just a good reminder is how much it costs to add one of those, where these, because of the way they're manufactured, probably couldn't do that. But they are really cool. They're sort of cut out in different three-dimensional aspects here, so I do really like the new ones. They fit the board well. And here's some of the different tiles. The top is the old one, the bottom is the new ones. Obviously they're smaller because the board was smaller again, but there's a difference between what the tokens look like. Here's the difference between the dice, the old version and the new version. These are bigger, they're easier to see, but the round ones, the brown ones are kind of nicer to look at, I think. There's a difference in scoring pawns. Left is old, right is new. Of course that was an upgrade for the Kickstarter, but yeah, the new pawns are much better. Now here we have both season tickets and the podium that you win for having the highest score of that round of the old version. And then the new version had also some cardboard, but they also had some upgraded pieces. The upgrade pieces are very nice wooden pieces. But if you're new to the game, it's kind of hard to remember what these do, or if you put this by there, it's easy, +5, kind of like this. In the podium, +3, you could place this on the thing. It makes it a little easier to remember the scoring, but I love having the upgraded components as well. And the final comparison here, just a plain black bag here that's like, kind of cheap feeling. This thing is very nice. One of those very nice sort of purple velvet bags. Love it. All right, well, there you have it, both versions. Now, if you're looking for an in-depth review of the game itself, below this description, there's a link to my full review where I actually review the game and go over all of it as a standalone game. So we're not going to go into all those details here. Here, I'm just going to sort of summarize the differences. So overall, obviously, the smaller board, artwork is very subjective, so I tend to like this art better. Some people might like the old artwork better. I do miss from the old version, man, a couple of things they did better. Again, they had on the back of the player aids, they had the scarcity of the tiles, which is huge when trading. I really wish they would have done that in the new version. The nobles, the emperor with the thing on his head, and the senator wearing the thing around their body. Those things were so cool. I really wish they would have redone those with here, as opposed to the silkscreen ones that you could put those stickers on there. Again, some of the tiles were a little bit easier to read in the older version. They were bigger, like the Emperor's tile and things like that. But there were better wooden bits, better coins. Man, the coins in this game just blew away those. Even the other coins were probably great back 2007, 2008. But those new coins are just awesome. And then the tokens. Everything's just a little bit smaller in this version because the board was so much smaller. Everything else kind of had to be smaller to sort of fit there. But overall, I'd say, if you've been wanting to play Colosseum and you just haven't been able to get your hands on one, you don't want to overpay, hey, there's a new version. And guess what? I think it looks awesome. And I think the components are much better in general. Sure, there's some things I like better in the old version, but you can't get that one, really. So this is what you're left with, and it's really good. I think they did a great job. Again, a few little miscues, a few things I wish they would have done differently, and then you could get it. Now, whether I think it's a good game or not, well, go watch my full review below where I actually talk about all of that in more detail. But one for one, if this is a game you're interested in, that's the difference. The new version is still great, and man, those metal coins just push this thing over the edge, and that's Colosseum.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter and making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.